Boom, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Training with Special Needs podcast. Today, I got to hang out with my friend Ashleigh. She's a support worker here based in Brisbane, looks after a whole bunch of the athletes that we get to look after as well. It was a fantastic chat. She knows so many things about trying to improve the life of all of her clientele that she gets to look after. She is so fantastic in the application of that. She even came in with a little laptop at one stage and kind of just opened it up for some notes, which is really cool. So guys, we'll jump into that now. If you can, jump on, give a like and subscribe to the video. Just for that, I'll give you a picture of a baby giraffe. How beautiful is that baby giraffe, huh? Thank you so much for leaving that like for that. Love you guys. Enjoy the podcast. Oh, and grab some ice cream because after talking about it in the podcast, I got hungry. So, hey, enjoy. That's all good?
Yep.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. Hey, welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Hey guys, so it's Michael here. We've got our Training with Special Needs podcast going on now. This is my great friend Ashleigh Hussey. She works alongside a whole... Actually, no, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because she's extremely nervous and it makes it funny. It is totally fun. Please, talk about yourself, please. What's going on?
My name is Ashleigh Hussey, and I've actually been a support worker for the last 6 months officially, but with my mum in support, disability support for the last 35 years, it's always been in my life and has become a business over the last 6 months that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, you have by association been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing,
Yeah, and now fallen into a network that I absolutely love.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I run obviously the Strong Hearts program and personal training and all that stuff. And so now I pretty much see Ashleigh almost every day. So between clients on Monday at Strong Hearts, then PT. Oh, sometimes I don't see you Tuesdays.
No.
But I'll see you Wednesdays,
definitely.
Sometimes a Thursday if you're covering, and then on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we pop into the gym.
Yeah, just hey, how's it going? Yeah.
It's just to see you.
Oh shucks, I feel so good. It makes me feel nice. Yeah, but I mean it's cool because it almost I think something that's came up a lot in the past 3 weeks is just how small that world is,
Mm-hmm.
The disability support world, the clientele, as well as huge. They have all interacted with each other somehow, or the parents have known a parent somehow.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of my business all just comes from
Ashleigh Special School?
well, yeah, Ashleigh Special School, and then just from a parent knowing a parent who talks about something else, and they've seen their kid do something on Facebook which has made them talk, and it's such a tiny world that, man, after you've been in it 2-3 years, man, the majority. So the fact that your mum obviously does so much, in the past, however many years, how many? 35? That's a long ass time.
Across South Africa and Australia.
Did she do it in South Africa?
Yeah. In
Holy
fact,
crap, that's a
before
lot.
she was a teacher, she had a house with adults with special needs that she lived with them. So it was about 6 adults, I believe, that lived with my mum and dad.
She was
the
the live-in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. What,
all
in
her life.
South Africa?
Yeah.
That would have been very different to here.
Yeah.
Was it just they just shoved them all into a house, or?
Into her house.
Oh, right. So it was actually her home.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my dad's a bit of a champion.
Yeah, wow. Because he's an engineer, hey?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a lot to take on. I mean, even taking on board, say 2 clients, it's, it's having your own, it's having another kid.
Sharing your own space.
Yeah.
There's no downtime.
No, that's it. And I mean, I really have to give it to support workers that do the overnight stays and all that sort of stuff, because I have a pretty pumped up day, and I love it, but I come home and the zen time of just, I suppose after you finish a night shift, you might, you just go chill out and you've got the rest of the day to yourself. But I couldn't, if I was doing an overnight shift, I don't know if I could sleep
Yeah,
properly.
Having the right personality, matching your personality with the clients is foremost.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, let's talk about that. What, like, in the 6 months you've done it and the however many years you've been exposed to it, what have been like the biggest key factors of like matching up the right person with the right support worker?
Great question.
It's not like it's no like, you know, like how do you put it, like there's no like correct response,
Yeah,
because everyone's got like their own like vibe on it, you know what I mean? Like,
I think as long as you find a support worker that values that person's goals, you have to put the goals first. You're sometimes for non-verbal clients, you're their spokesperson, you're the number one they go to for absolutely everything, and you need to be just a person that is willing to put their goals before all else, and their safety and their happiness. You need to be the right fit because you're accepting and understanding of who they are now, their history, where they're going, their likes and dislikes, things that trigger them, and you need to be involved in the journey. You want to be there at the start and at the end.
yeah, actually that's a very good point. It's a really difficult conversation to have with some parents when it comes down to what the client needs versus what the parent wants the client to need. Does that make sense? Like, is there a like a particular like screening process you have for like, hey, like I've met your son or daughter, like, you know, here are the things we've done kind of in the day, here are the things we could, you know, possibly move into? Like, do you have like some sort of like unassociated like checklist you go through in your own head of kind of like, hey, like here's what they're capable of doing, here's what they're not? Like,
yeah, first of all, I ask the parent to provide me with the NDIS goals.
Yeah.
So have a look at that, and obviously the parent with their specialist and the NDIS have worked together to create those goals. So there's always, there isn't really any disparity between those. I haven't come across a parent that has not agreed with what I have to say.
well, that's a good start.
Yeah,
you're probably doing something, right?
It's often the client that might be unaware of their own goals or disagree that they need a certain level of support, and that's for the clients that are more capable. It's really challenging to express to them that they need a little bit more assistance than they might think.
Yeah, okay. Like, and the ones that are more kind of able-bodied, kind of trying to get them to understand that, you know, you're there to aid their life. You're not there to like be the, you know, you're not there to do almost take away their being capable by themselves. Independence is the word. Yeah. You're not there to like take that away. You're there to try and
Boost
help
it.
that. And yeah. And I mean, like, you know, independence is an unusual word to use because, like, you know, we talk about like, you know, building independence for our clients, and sometimes that independence comes from us being with them.
Yes.
But you also have to, like, there's varying levels of what we'd call independence for each client, I guess.
Absolutely. And knowing when to step in and step back is essential. Yeah. But I think let's use Strong Hearts as an example. I think it's important that you're there with your client regardless of how capable they are, because they might be putting in what they think is 100%, but you know that there's more to give. And for one of my clients, let's just say we have a step count. So she might have not run to the other end of the court had we not spoken about our step count in the morning, saying let's get to 7,000 steps over the course of Strong Hearts today. She might not have, you know, motivated herself if I wasn't there going, let's get to 7,000 right there with her during Strong Hearts. You know, it's encouragement, it's constant encouragement and motivation to get the absolute most out of them that you can.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, that's huge as well. Like the translation of like, being the babysitter versus, and you know, like, are they hurt? No, okay, I don't need to step in. Versus like, hey, like, let's try and enliven the activity, you know, get something moving. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think you need to be there 100% of the time because you need to know how they're feeling, what they're doing, what they're saying. I think you need to just be there.
Yeah.
Be present.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think there's ever like a stage of like, so like for example, I look after everyone at the gym. My goal is always number one to have them live a longer and stronger, healthier life, right? And number two is to make them happy at the gym, and we make the happy thing go first before they're able to live a longer because they enjoy the gym and they move into it. The goal is for me to be able to have them do their thing by themselves eventually. Like for them to be able to walk into the gym, stack up the weights, do the thing, and then leave, right? At what stage do you feel comfortable of like stepping back? Like how much would you need to see in order to be able to go, you know what, job here is done, and we move on?
As long as there's no risk factor. There's always a risk factor in the gym, but even for completely able-bodied people. But I think as long as I can sense that they know how to take things off safely, lift something, push something safely, that's...
Yeah. No, not even in the gym. Like, I'm talking day-to-day life.
Oh, day-to-day?
Like, yeah, I'm talking like, for example, I had a young one, Sean, came in today. His parents are away on holiday, which is fantastic. He caught the bus to the gym by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfectly able-bodied young man and hard of hearing and all that sort of stuff. But like, you can communicate with them and things like that. And I'm sure it would have taken a little bit for the parents to slow down. Hey, like, here's the bus you'd catch and here's how you check and all that sort of stuff. And eventually there was one stage where they went, let's go, like, let's give
Fly the coop.
Yeah. Whoa! Like pushing them out the nest. But like, eventually there's gonna be that moment, like,
for any parent.
Yeah. Like, where do you think that moment is? Like, obviously varies for every client, but like, what is the feeling?
That's a hard question. I think definitely comes down to capabilities, such as, I mean, if it's independent living, then if somebody is insensitive to temperature and they need, they could potentially put hot water on and burn themselves, then there's risk factors that, maybe they shouldn't be living alone, or you put in facilities to stop those risk factors from occurring. But I think that there is we work with these clients on a day-to-day basis, and you just get to know that person like the back of your hand, like they're your own family member, and just like you would with a brother or sister, you just know how you can sense how they're feeling and that comfortability factor, and I think that you would know that they're confident enough to cope in certain situations.
Actually, that's a good point. Like, I think that there's been a lot of times we've gone, hey, look, like, we're looking at doing this event or this activity, blah, 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 blah. And what do you think? And obviously we run it by the client first. Generally speaking, we would. And, they're usually kind of like, they're in the hype mode of the gym and stuff, that's fine. But almost every single support worker, if they've been with that client for, say, 6 months, they can just say, nah.
No, yeah.
Or... absolutely.
Yeah.
And they know when they can be like, if we brought them to like this kind of thing, I can be like, they can walk 10 feet ahead of me. Mm-hmm. I'll just coast, just make sure they're alright, but they can just do their thing.
Yeah.
So like, there's a, that growth mentality of trying to get them to move forward gets really hard when you care so much that you don't want anything to happen to them. So you like almost do you go like mum mode?
Yes.
Like, no,
absolutely.
Please don't fly away.
Yes, very much so. But I think at times you see their parents do a lot of that. So you know that I'm that middleman that's going to get them from that stage to independent stage. And in some regards, we spend more time with them than their parents do. So if you're with them from 7 till 5 p.m, that is majority of the day, and not sure where I was going with that.
No, I do get what you mean though. Like, you like being that middleman of some parents, I think, wrap their kids in bubble wrap.
Yes.
And because they're just so afraid. It's not that it's a bad thing. They just love their kid so much that they don't want anything bad to happen. So you almost have to step in as the intermediary, like, all right, time to like take off some layers.
Yeah.
Let's give it a go.
And I understand that my role is to identify their goals and what situations would be challenging for them, and then to basically put them in that position and support them through the process.
Yeah.
That is essentially my role, is to identify what their challenges are and then work through it.
Yeah. You're putting them on the tightrope and you're the one under it, like,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
And at the end of the day, I get to go back to the parents and say, look what we did today. This is baby steps.
Yeah, that's it.
Every day is baby steps towards something. That's why working hard every day is so satisfying, because you know when you go to bed that night that you made incremental steps towards the person they're going to be in the future. And it's so special that what you put in is what you get out, and you build trust with them and rapport, and they just know that what you do for them is for them. You know, it's 100% because you love them and support them and encourage them to be the best that they can be.
Yeah, 100%. And man, there's so much truth in that. Like, it's the marathon, not the sprint kind of mentality. Absolutely. Like, you've got to just make sure that they're always trying the little thing, like always just pushing forward that little bit.
Yeah, look for opportunities constantly.
Yeah. Have you found there's been like a couple of kind of pillar things that you do with your client, like in terms of, like, say, activities or events to go to or something like that you kind of go, okay, if they can do this, all right, let's go. Next level would be this activity, and like, do you have like a not like a set plan, because everyone's going to be different obviously, but do you have like ideas of things that you'd probably take almost everyone to see how they go, and then there's a progression from that you take them to? Or
well, in terms of health and fitness, it's Strong Hearts and Gym, so that's ticked
cool.
off, and the trainers are
that
so
works
wonderful.
good for me. That works good for me.
The trainers have that plan there, so that's at least one thing that I leave to you guys. But then we do implement that outside of the session, so we can take that, like you said, we'll see you often on a Friday. We implement what we learned in that session on a Friday again, because that repetition is what strengthens the neural pathways to make it, you know, a motor action. So that's it. Becomes normal, and practice makes perfect, right?
100%.
And so that's health and fitness ticked off. Meals wise on the health wagon as well. Obviously there's 3 meals a day. Sometimes I might only be with them for 1 or 2 meals of the day, but that's a huge portion of what they're putting into themselves. So we try to do a lot of cooking. That is an essential life skill.
Yes,
so
very much
we
so.
Do as much cooking as we can, trying to stay clear of purchasing food or, you know, fast food and sitting down at restaurants, because that often takes up quite a chunk of the day. You'd rather be, you know, quick meal, and the focus is on beneficial activities. So cooking is a beneficial activity, so that's fine, and then eating it afterwards is fun. But focusing on healthy meals. In terms of work experience and numeracy, literacy, communication skills, we do a lot at home, but also for some of the students they have, or participants, they go to Orca, which is basically positioning them to find work, employment down the track, and they do work experience, work in offices or Westfield Chermside. It's a fantastic program. It's always working towards independence. Whatever we do is towards independence. So whether that's supported group home living, where they can feed off each other's skills, it's everything that we do all day is education, communication, numeracy and literacy, personal hygiene. I do have a participant that stays with me from Thursday evening till Saturday afternoon, and we work a lot on personal hygiene. It's and communication skills. It's something that the parents would love to have more time to look into with them. If you could spend 15 minutes a night teaching your child how to brush their teeth properly, that would be fantastic. But being mother or father of a household, you sometimes just don't have that time for it. So
for sure.
When this person comes to my house, we take 15 minutes to practice brushing teeth and tying shoelaces and putting the right foot on the right shoes on the right feet. things like that, the small things that a parent might often just quickly do for them, where you go, hang on, that's a challenge for you, let's slow it down.
Yep.
Slow it down step by step, and let's nail this. Let's repeat it again and again until you have it right.
Yeah, wow.
Until
Actually,
you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's it. And like, I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is, like, just tying a shoe.
Yeah.
Like, and if tying a shoe is difficult, you can imagine what catching a bus might be like. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting how many clients might be completely able to catch a bus, but tying the shoe is so hard. Everyone is
that's a
so
good
different.
point. Yeah. And even keeping focus, I've found is
Yes.
and like, focus, I feel very much is a skill.
Yeah.
And like, absolutely, like, you've got a lot of people like on the autistic spectrum and stuff, and ADHD and all that sort of thing. They find it very, very hard to focus, but without practice, they are never going to get any better. And I know that I understand there is, chemical markers and there's all that sort of stuff. Absolutely does happen. But, focusing on a single task as a skill, if it interests them,
Yes.
they will probably focus better. Like, people talk about, ADHD having difficulty, in attention spans on just doing one task at a time. Like, I totally understand. Like, I totally get that. But they spent 3 straight hours staring at the same screen on an iPad.
Yep.
They were doing things. There was focus there,
Yeah.
and therefore with with guidance, that might be a skill that they can improve. It will improve very, very slowly. I'm never saying that they'll be, cured of ADHD.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. But everything is, if you can just make it that minor bit of incremental, like, if they have to focus to tie their shoe, look, that's only a 15-second task.
Yeah.
But if they get in there, start doing one, and they get frustrated because the tiniest little thing goes wrong, well, then, we're talking about behaviors. We're talking about so many different things that all encompass into that one tiny little 15 seconds. And that's just skill acquisition. It's just chipping away. What do they call, like, just chop wood? Chop wood. Like.
I think that's where the respect between the client and support worker also really comes into play, because if you have spent the time to build rapport with your client and show them that you really genuinely care, they're more likely to listen to you when you ask them to repeat the alphabet over and over again when it's something that really challenges them, or when you find anything that challenges them, to ask them to do it is uncomfortable. There's going to be some resistance there occasionally, but if they trust you and understand your intentions, then you will have far less trouble.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, like, you are probably consistently trying to push them that little bit, so that eventually they're going to get frustrated.
I often think, oh my goodness, if someone was on my back like this, can you back off?
Yeah, leave me alone, man. I'll tie my shoes later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give me some Velcro shoes.
Yeah. I know D comes after C, comes after B. It's fine, man. Just leave me alone. I never thought about the other side of that. Yeah, the recipient, it'd be very difficult.
It's non-stop.
Yeah.
But like I said, they know if they understand your intentions, then
and they're there to help.
Yeah, they'll play the game.
Is there like have there been, like, do you have a, like, don't name names, but has there been a particular story where something's finally, like, you had all the ridiculousness beforehand, but finally one day the client just got it? Maybe? Ooh.
I'm sure there's been a million times where that's happened.
Yeah.
My goodness. Where there's been resistance.
Where it's been quite difficult. Sorry, I was going to change it. There you go.
Oh, yes, actually.
Yeah?
One client is very resistant to brushing teeth, and I found a really cool Thomas the Tank Engine book that has stickers in it, and every time there are different pages for reading and using manners and brushing your teeth and going to bed on time, and we whenever I say, please go and brush your teeth, it's no, why? But I say, would you like a sticker? Yep, I'm off to brush my teeth.
Oh, what? And that was it?
Yeah.
Just solved.
Just
like
that certain motivation is key sometimes.
Yeah. Oh man, stickers work a charm. Actually, young Kira that works in our team, she was trying to train one of our guys, Joe. Joe, duh. And she was trying to get him to, do a couple of things, and she was covering a session for me, and I came in at the end of the session, and Kira has, Joe's just standing there with like a really big grin on his face, and I was like, oh mate, what's going on? And he just turns, and he's just got like all the, I don't remember, I think it was maybe on, no, it was on his shirt. He turns, he's just got all these stickers just all over his shirt. I was like, what's going on? Kira was like, I bought stickers for him.
And he did really well.
And he did really good, and I was like, oh my word.
Now he's got all the stickers.
Yeah, now he has every sticker.
And Kira has no stickers.
No, it was more, Michael never gives me stickers. Who's this dude? Like,
Kira's my favourite.
Yeah. Kira's the best now. And I was like, oh. But like, he got all his tasks done. He was on the point, and like other motivations for him are like, hey, we're getting chicken curry after this, and he's like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
But like it takes a long time to work out what does get the guys to tick and what gets them to move.
Yep.
Like, have you found that like having the distant goal also, so like I keep translating it over to fitness because that's just what I know, but like for example, we have like Flying Kiwi Cup, and hey, that's coming up in 3 months, we've got to work hard, and that usually gets a lot of the guys moving. Like, do you have anything that holidays or getaways or events that you kind of use as the, hey, we're doing this for said event in blah time? Like, is there anything like that?
Not so much events, but I do use their own goals to motivate them. So I get them in on the whole goal scenario. So I say, would you like to find work experience? Would you like to acquire a job? Most often they'll say yes. So they know what's best for them, so they'll say yes. And then I say, okay, well, in that case, you need to know how to dress professionally, speak professionally, communicate properly, get to work on time. These sorts of things. I understand the task that you need to complete.
Yep.
Right? If you don't understand, ask for help. There's all these sorts of things that I identify what they want, and then which is relevant to their goals, and then let them know the steps that it will take to get to that goal.
Yeah.
So
just break it down as much as possible.
Break it
down. Do you like almost show you're working? Like, okay, this is where we want to get to. To be able to do that, you need to do this. To be able to do this, you need to do, like, do
Absolutely.
you like show it to them?
Yes.
Do you talk it through with them? Like,
almost everybody responds to visuals.
Yeah.
So for example, the participants that I take to the ORCA program, the work experience program, in the morning I'll sketch out what we're going to do that day. So one of the participants likes to ask a lot of questions about what they're doing in the future. So what are we doing this afternoon? What are we doing after lunch? What are we doing tomorrow? So we need to focus on this task, and please review the drawings that I've put in this book, because that is what we are doing today, and that is it. So he can go back and say, oh yes, that, done. And then you can get to what you wanted to do this afternoon. Like, there's a process here and we're going to follow it, and I'm not backing off.
Yeah, that's it. I think, even just one like in their mind, negative task, one task that they just really don't want to do, like that can gum up their entire day, unless you can be like, well, after we do the bench press, then we get to do the whatever, like, and it makes their day a lot better. But trying to future-proof that is really hard.
And it's a good idea to have one day that is a bit of the reward day. I feel like Friday is probably our social day, and a few of the participants get to have some kind of reward on that day, whether it's a snack or seeing a friend, or even some clients find such a joy in little things. Like, for instance, I'll say, all right, please do this task. I don't think it's wrong to use rewards during the day as motivation. So
yeah, definitely.
To encourage them. So one of my clients actually responds really well to saying, okay, we can go through the McDonald's drive-through to get a cup of water. That is all we get. We get a cup of water, and that works like a charm. So
wow. Hey, if it works, man.
Encouragement works. So,
wow, that's awesome.
I'm not sure why.
Hey,
but it
man,
works.
if it works.
Yeah.
And I mean, like there's still, it's obviously they associate the positivity with the brand.
Yes.
Rather than the actual activity of like, oh, I want a burger, man. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I could not imagine driving through Macca's drive-through myself
And getting water.
and not getting something that makes me feel ill. Because that's seemingly what I like.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
I never actually thought about it that way. That's hilarious. Well, okay, speaking of food then, what like, it's very difficult sometimes to, like, change the perspective of the athlete of, like, hey, this food's good for you, and this one is going to make you poo a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, like, we need to make a better choice, you
Yeah.
know, what do you, like, have you had any instances where, like, there was just something, like a habit that you just couldn't break with a client of, like, a particular meal of a, you know, some of the guys, they refuse to not have whatever for breakfast. Like, one of the young ones I used to have was, and I can't even make this up, love him to bits, fantastic young man, I don't look after him anymore, but every morning without fail he was having gluten-free chicken nuggets.
Wow.
He'd have 4 gluten-free chicken nuggets for breakfast, and that was it. And, like, one day he managed a single slice of gluten-free toast and he vomited everywhere.
Oh no.
In the gym. Terrible. Like, I felt so bad because I was like, we need to get toast into you.
Yes.
We need the food.
Yeah.
And yeah, just didn't know. And, like, fantastic young man, like, loving a bit. But yeah, like, I don't look after him anymore. But, like, yeah, have there been any of those instances where you're just like, what am I gonna plan? Like,
Yep.
how do you tackle that?
I think it helps when you get a specialist involved. I'd definitely deflect to a nutritionist or something like that. If there's mass resistance, then I'd encourage them to go see a dentist or a nutritionist, something like that. And I know Good Life has people on call for that. So that's,
somewhat, yeah.
That's good. But for instance, people are thirsty. They don't think of water first, unless you're the client that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
But you think of soft drink and frappes, and you know they associate breakfast time with a chocolate frappe or an iced coffee frappe. Just they're not understanding how much sugar is in those items, or when they perform well throughout the day, and the reward is ice cream. You know, it doesn't need to be that. Change the way that they see rewards. Something that's going to, like, you're on a good streak for the day. Why ruin it with feeling terrible about yourself? With, you know, continue that positivity and go to bed feeling like an absolute champion.
This goes for every Gen Pop person we have watching this podcast too. That is very, very solid advice, because I think there is a big disconnect in people getting to the end of the day and rewarding themselves for having a good day, but their reward overspills of what their hard work is going towards, and, like, the endorphins are there of I worked hard, but the actual result they're looking for and the true drop of endorphins that would come from if you had a weight goal literally is never going to hit, because you are just sabotaging yourself every single afternoon.
Exactly. And I don't claim to be perfect. I do like the odd drive-through.
Oh, I'm terrible for it. Like, or not the drive-through, but I'm terrible for ice cream.
And
definitely.
At least I think a support work is during that period of time where you're with somebody and you need to be the absolute role model, the best that you can be, because the participants often copy you. I'll be singing a song in the car, clicking my fingers. Next thing you know, the participants clicking your fingers as well. There's actions, behaviors, words. They copy it. So you need to be on your game at all times. The way that you're dressing and talking, and professionally and personally, I think you need to be aware of, you know, clients that have access to technology or the community. They're going to be out and about. You might be on your Sunday morning shop, but if you walk through the shopping centre and run into somebody, you need to be, you know, upholding a certain standard. You need to be careful of what you post on social media. You need to drive responsibly. I've often been driving around and you see somebody with a disability support sticker on the side of their car and they're driving like a hoon. So you need to...
why would we trust you with our son or daughter?
And they don't have a participant with them at the time, so it's kind of, you know, might be out of their thought process, but you're responsible for your image at all times. Actually,
that's a very good point. Like, if you've got stickers on your car, at least take them off. if you're gonna be like that, like, you know, don't be an idiot on the road in the first place. But like, think about what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
That's a, like, it's a fair point from the standard of almost like every workplace. I mean, you look at things like the NRL, like, yes, don't get me wrong, they're great footy players, but they keep ending up in the media. You know, you get your, there's plenty of PTs. I know they're like, don't eat McDonald's, right? And you are working towards a goal, and then they go out on weekends and they're hitting some unusual, tablets and they're smashing back the drinks, and they stop in at Macca's on the way home and get their 3 hamburgers.
Yeah.
But they come into work on Monday morning like, oh, you're doing wrong. It's like, we saw you out on the weekend, man. Like, you can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've got to have a balance there of being the role model for your client. And man, the clients are sponges.
Yes.
Absolute sponges.
Yeah.
And it makes it a good and bad thing depending on how you use it.
Yeah. You just adopt what you want to see out of them. So if they want to be a photographer in the future and you're working on photography skills, you're going to be a photographer for the day.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing today.
Yeah, from 9 till 6 on a Wednesday, you are now a photographer.
Yeah, it's actually a fantastic role because you get your foot into all these different industries because you're trying to upskill them while, you're right there. You have to upskill yourself in order to give them the same skills. So you're always...
on flow it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and trying to get that end goal was like, oh, I want to be a professional photographer. You're like, all right, I'm going to YouTube. Like, let's start sorting this out. What do we need?
Learning how to be a photographer.
Yeah. And in like the Avengers, Tony Stark goes, am I the only one that did the reading? Oh, did you become a thermonuclear physicist overnight? It's like, yeah, I read the book, man. Like, I just last night. Like, yeah. And okay, cool. You're a pro photographer. Sweet. Yeah.
That's also along the lines of planning. And I did want to say something about planning in the sense that you have to, in order to get the best out of your client or participant, having a plan prior to being with them is so important. So having their goals in mind and then putting together a schedule for the next day and letting them know that is the plan does wonders. And even if they have a weekly schedule and you pick them up and you look at the schedule and say, all right, so on Tuesdays, this is what we do, and getting them into a ritual if that works best for them, but also showing them the visual, it really helps so much. And you can have, if they really resist to a certain thing and you think, okay, we can substitute that with something that is just as beneficial, then fine. But if you don't have a plan at all, or plan B, or able to think quickly on your feet, then you're most likely to go and do something like have cake and coffee, you
just default into whatever activity happens.
What's easiest, what's nearby. You need to know your client so well that you can think on your feet, an alternative, a beneficial alternative.
Yeah. Is there like do you have a couple of like your safe fallbacks? So for example, like, post Strong Hearts, like is there a meal you go for, or do you plan for other things, after you go to the gym or after speech therapy? The great thing to do is to go and sit down, have a coffee, and they practice their speaking. Like, do you have any of those kind of concurrent activities after the fact?
Well, in terms of Strong Hearts, morning tea and lunch is something that's included. So we don't go for lunch afterwards. I would say a lot of clients or participants have, for instance, Special Olympics training or even just gym sessions or Orca, and it's best to say a participant says, oh, let's go for a treat now that we've done that. I'd rather not get into the habit of doing that. Like the primary event was the training. There shouldn't be an immediate follow-up treat or downtime as such. I know that in order to get the most out of them, sometimes needs to be like a huge focus and then just some time to reflect. But reflection can be active reflection. You can sit down and your quiet time can be a conversation, like you said. How did you feel about that? How did that go? it was really nice to see that friend today. It doesn't have to be an in-depth personal discovery.
Yeah, the meaning of,
the meaning of life. But just a chat in the car. You don't need to swing by to get, the next lot of food or, just if you have that plan in place, then you're going from beneficial activity to beneficial activity.
Yeah, okay.
And there's little time for wasting time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Like obviously the long term of all of that is like them having like a completely full schedule. How much of your client, how much input does your client have? Well, I suppose it depends on the client, doesn't it? Like between yourself, between the parent, between the client, like picking activities. Do you find there's a lot of resistance to, like, for example, if the client doesn't like their speech therapy just because it makes them agitated, because they obviously get very pushed in speech. Yeah. It's a challenge. Do you tend to give them a freedom of choice of post activity, or like you just go, nah, this is what we're doing, we're getting it done, and eventually they kind of mull over and they're kind of like, oh, this is just the routine now, I don't really care.
All right. Well, yeah. When you put it like that, there is definitely some downtime for their interests. So, for instance, I think this is okay to say, but my favorite little client. Oh, okay. Let's not say my favorite.
Your favorite? I really enjoy when I get to drag my client to flip out. Yeah.
My little client Chris is absolutely adorable. He loves buses. So we after his speech pathology, on the way to, I actually drop him to his next support worker, and on the way he is able to look at his iPad and watch YouTube videos of buses. So that is because speech pathology can be agitating at times if he's been asked new questions, so that not really comfortable with. So after speech we will look at buses, or
perfect.
We go to the library, and afterwards the reward is to sit outside and to count up 10 buses. So he knows that after he's read to me or listened to me read some a few pages to him, that afterwards we'll exit, sit on the little stairs, 1, 2, 3, and he counts them out for me. And then once we've got to 10, which is very quickly
I bet
on that street,
the library at Chermside? Okay, so literally at the bus interchange of the north side.
Within 2 minutes.
We've
cool, got to 10, and then we can go. And he is so pleased with that.
He's just happy as, that's what he wanted.
That is the highlight of his whole day.
Yeah. And it's the reward doesn't have to be big, it just has to be meaningful.
Exactly.
There was a guy a while ago was kind of giving me business advice and things like that, and he talked about how his mentor told him, look, when you get to, I can't remember what it was, but when you get to X dollars worth of revenue, or you do blah 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 blah, I will let you sit on my balcony with me and have a bottle of wine. And that was it, like one glass. So like, wasn't even good wine as far as I'm aware, right? But it was that instance of, I've finally made it to that thing that means I've achieved something. And that's where the meaning comes from. And it's the association of like the hormone drop rather than the actual activity itself. It's just the feeling you get of said activity. Is there like a do you have a particular approach to like how you pick those out? Is that just something that like an athlete will pick? Is it something that like a parent just goes, they really like doing this, maybe try that, and then something eventually happens? Like, have you like inherited it from other support workers? Like,
if it's a verbal client, they'll definitely let you know what they want.
They'll tell you.
And if it's still in line with their goals, I feel like it still has to be somewhat in line with their goals, because that is time that you're being paid by the NDIS, and you need to make sure that it is
sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
Thank you, Siri. That's weird. Sorry.
You need to make that time meaningful. But even something as simple as looking at buses, I'm not really letting him sit there just watching the YouTube video. We say, oh, what sound is that making? What colour is that bus?
Yeah,
Where is he going? what number bus is that? Oh, 333. Where does that go to? You know, it's finding opportunity in absolutely every activity, whether they know that you're working or not.
Yeah.
You are looking for opportunities to keep their brain moving throughout the entire period of support.
Yeah. Wow.
So
just
sometimes
making it as
tricking them into not
Yeah.
realizing.
Yeah. That's it.
This is a fun activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still challenging you. So
Yeah, that's true. Like almost just hiding the education inside something they think is just fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that was how I learned math when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Was there was like a computer game, and it was just if you typed in the answer fast enough of like a multiplication, 3 times 6. If you typed it fast enough, the monkey would jump to the next like thing. But if you took too long, the pillar would fall. Right.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Yeah.
I learned great math because I just enjoyed the game that it was about. Yeah. So
and
Chris's,
monkeys.
and monkeys. And watching them go, and they had wings and stuff. It was great. But yeah, enjoying like obviously Chris enjoying the just the side of a bus.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that. Yeah, this is training for lack of a better word and getting him to learn.
He's responsive, so he's not locked into the video and ignoring everything that I'm asking. He's fully engaged with me and the activity.
Yeah. And that can sometimes be hard to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's very lucky as well. Like he's obviously got Sam at the gym and he does so many, he works so hard when he's at the gym. If he didn't like Sam as a coach, he wouldn't do shit.
No, respect is is number one important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's and that comes across in like all of the clients. Like I've been doing this since like 2015 now. I think the number one thing, I think you're right, is if you don't have the respect from the client of like you're trying to get them to do things that they're probably not gonna like. Yeah. You're not gonna last. You're gonna have to find a new client. Yeah, that's it.
You can't physically force someone to do something.
That's it. Yeah. You can't force them to read. They'll close their eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
They won't speak. Yeah. They'll sit on the floor. Yeah, that's happened a lot.
And you can't. You can never underestimate the level of comprehension that they have. So, in your downtime or if you, how do I want to say this? No, never mind. We can come back to that.
Come back to that?
Yeah,
all right. That's fine. Yeah. You had some... So, Ashleigh is very prepared, and she's came along with some notes. Would you like to pull up whatever that was? Yeah? Oh, here we go. Wow, that's a big document. My goodness. You can hold it up here. That's all right. Yeah. You can sit up with it. It's fine. I'm not at like the Joe Rogan level of podcast yet.
We've covered a lot of it.
Please bear in mind, I did not ask Ashleigh to bring any notes whatsoever. It was just meant to be an hour-long chat. Just about everything to do with, like just growing with our client.
Yeah, I think my because everything is about the participant, I just wanted to have a bit of a theme of using P letter words. So we've got participant because they're literally at the center of absolutely everything that you do.
True.
Our role is to know them, support them, encourage them from the time that you're with them to the time that you drop them off to the next support worker or their house. That is go time.
Yep.
The next one was preparation. Make plans that align with the goals of the participant. Next one was presentation. Consider how you present yourself to the world personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And having patience and persistence. So progress over perfection. And just staying positive and making sure that you're focusing on the incremental progress.
Yeah, and just make it slow and like even if it's slow, you're not going backwards.
No, and
that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I think that makes it important to people going into support work need to be passionate about the role, because if you don't have passion, chances are you don't have patience as well with the amount of time that it's going to take to repeat things over and over again to see a result.
True.
You really need to be passionate in their journey, passionate about their journey. It's not about you having a job and working for that day. I don't consider this as work. It's just being passionate about another human being that needs a little bit more support than most people do to achieve independence.
Yeah, for sure. The major theme of everything we do inside the gym is to, number one, make them happy, obviously, and number two is to increase their life expectancy. Have them stronger, have them, be at a healthy weight, have them more mobile, all those things like tap into it, and self-confidence is a huge thing too. I feel like the role of a support worker is very, very similar in that case.
Yes.
Like, is there, like, if we talk about obviously lengthening like a life expectancy, what are some of the ones that have came up that you've seen with your client? You go, if we don't stop that, that's really gonna hinder like a proper life expectancy. Like, I've seen some bad habits, I've seen some terrible habits with food, I've seen some terrible habits with how some of the guys bend, how they move.
Yes. Yeah.
And that have been like the first things that we've talked to parents about, like, hey, change them. Like, have you ran into anything like as serious as that yet?
I think it would just be mainly what I observe from within the gym. A huge part of health and fitness you guys look after. So, like we were talking about earlier, the risk factors within a gym, practicing safe lifting habits, and following that up with healthy eating habits, and making sure that they know how to cook healthy meals afterwards. Like, go home and don't jump on Uber Eats.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Everything is linked.
Yeah. There's one particular participant I know of at the moment that he's very verbal, and he can chat a lot, and he can make his own decisions. Can use Pokemon Go. You know what I mean? Like, very very articulate young fella. And he is very lean. He holds barely any body fat on him. And he's a great young man, but he eats like a horse. It's like Hungry Jack's for breakfast. Our American friends, it's like Burger King for breakfast. And it's McDonald's and thick shakes for lunch, and it is like, his version of like a healthy breakfast is Subway. No. And like nailing like a big Subway with cookies and like everything.
It's worse than a Big Mac.
Yeah. It's terrible in terms of like intake of calories, in terms of like how much your system has to try and digest. Yeah. And when you're smashing cookies on the back of it all, and you wash it down with soft drink, and it's terrible. But in his mind, he just goes, I'm still skinny.
Yep. Tick.
And it's you put diesel on a Ferrari, it's gonna run like crap. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, and trying to break that habit is very hard, and I'm trying to work with some of the support workers at the moment to hopefully, nudge this particular young fella into the right mode, because I don't want to see him go backwards. I don't want to see him, if he starts putting on weight, he's going to put on weight very, very fast. When his body finally goes, nah, I can't digest this anymore, and it starts going outward rather than through, it's not going to be a good time for him.
I think just being firstly a role model, being not encouraging that food, not having that food yourself in front of the client, especially, or broadcasting that you have that food. Education, I know you guys do a lot of that, but letting them know that Subway is not a healthy alternative to McDonald's, and letting them know the sugar content of soft drink. It's education is key, and without that, they can't make informed decisions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the support workers are fantastic. The support workers with them are great, and they all, try and encourage him to eat well, and they know that he's putting garbage in, but, if they pick him up at 9, he's already bought breakfast, and he gets his disability pension, so he just gets it on Uber Eats, or he walks down the store and buys whatever, and he's smashing back Red Bulls and cans of Monster. Don't get me wrong, but like, this is a just so you all know, that's a sugar-free little monster there, and I will be up tonight editing until I fall asleep. So that's the only reason I'm having that now. But like when that is put in with a multitude of bad food with zero exercise, man, it doesn't spell good.
No.
You know, that does shorten life expectancy.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible.
You just made me think that that's another reason why it's important to have rewards on one day and have it agreed by all support workers that that is the treat day. If you need to have a treat, keep it to the one day so that support workers aren't saying, Monday, tick, you did really well, chips. Tuesday, did really well, chips.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Friday can be chip day, you know?
Yeah.
Really keep it.
I know the participant you're talking about too, yeah. The one day, one chip day.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Fridays, and he knows that.
Yeah,
So,
he does. Oh, he knows. He doesn't want those strikes or anything.
No,
he does not want
we
them.
can get a full week of positive behaviour out of him because he wants chips so badly
Yeah.
on Friday.
Yeah. And you know, like, and he's fantastic. He's got a great support network around him as well. So he gets so much done, which is fantastic. But yeah, I do worry about some of the other participants that, you know, like they honestly, in the past I've seen some terrible role models that have made some pretty average decisions when they've been with their client. Their client's a sponge. They're going to watch. They're going to copy. It's monkey see, monkey do. It's and it's so hard to put that forward to a support worker of, hey, look, like, we know you're not like encouraging it, you're not putting it down their gullet, but like they see your habits and they go, person I respect doing this, therefore I might try, or I want to do that because I want to be just as cool as them. Yeah. Like, it's on them.
And it's the same with anything that you bring out of your personal lives, like relationships and positive communication with other people, even something as simple as the way you talk to a store person when you're at the shops with the client. Respect is key.
Yeah.
Regardless, they will respect you if you respect others and them, and it's just number one to have them actually respect you.
Yeah, for sure. And
they know what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
So that's in terms of their level of comprehension, you just can't underestimate what they're seeing and understanding. Because even for a non-verbal client that might not repeat things back to you or be able to have a back and forth conversation with you, they might be absorbing far more than you understand.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. And they start applying that to their lives, and it'll come out to a parent, you know, a week later, and they'll be like, where has this came from? They just started this new habit and I have no idea what it's from. And it's actually because the support worker the previous Tuesday had yelled at a cafe attendant or something. And that comes across. I'm like, where's this came from?
A non-verbal participant, that might come out in aggression or frustration or not participating, or, you know, it's...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it might be hard to link to that specific
event. Yeah, but that is what they've got, like, core buried in their mind. Yeah. There's I think there can be sometimes a big disconnect in like the activity of the mannerisms of the support worker, and you know, even us as coaches, the mannerisms of the coaches around the gym translating into the client. You know, like if for example, I see it all the time. There are coaches that when they go lift, they go train that, boom, big lift, and they just drop the weight. And big lift, and there's no clips on the bar or little things like that, and they just want to train hard and fast, and they just want to like pump and grind and all that stuff. And cool, that's your way to do it. Amazing. Yeah. But the translation of that education across into a regular Gen Pop clientele, that may not actually be the healthiest way for them to do it. No. But they see what their coach does, and they go like they want to be around you because they either want to act like you, they want to train like you, they want to be like you, or because you produce a result. And if you are those first three, they're just going to mimic. And they won't be thinking about it, but the coach is going to be like, nice, that's totally the way to do it. You know, like if you're an overweight support worker, no offense against overweight support workers, but if your habits, I understand there's hormones and things can totally happen. But and medications and stuff. But if your general day-to-day habits are what are actually making you overweight, odds are those habits are being seen by the clientele, and that might translate into their lives. Like, you have to be on. You have to be on. Like, if you're in the support worker game and you are trying to actively improve the improve the lifespan of your client, you have to be the best version of yourself for them to absorb the best version that they could be. Your client is going to be the reflection of the sum total of every support worker they have, and parents, and coaches, and specialists, and if they don't have the loving, passionate support that they do require, and be given, a positive outlook, number one, number two, a decent plan to get them there, and number three, just like the gentle, genuine approach of like, hey, you can do this. Man, they won't last.
It's the same as the relationship between a parent and their child. It's we can push them to do things that they might not necessarily want to do or like in the moment, but 5-10 years down the track, I know I've turned to my mum many times and said, "Oh, I get it now. I get it now. Thank you very much for making sure I didn't escape at night to go see my boyfriend at 1 a.m.
As much as you're an asshole, thank you.
Sleep is important, and healthy choices are important, and going to school and uni or some form of education is important. These things are, bestowed upon us, and we try to keep them in the schedule because they're all necessary. And as much as they hate us for it, we're trying to do the right thing. Is there anything in particular, like, obviously trying to improve the lifespan, like, is there anything like that you network with support workers as a whole? Like, I know one of the really common things is I see there's a group chat for almost every client. There's like a group chat of like the core support workers and the parents and things like that. So communication, super quick. Is there anything you guys implement in those to help them? For example, I think that the major one I see, or I'd love to see more, to be honest, is the food thing. Like, hey, they have had this treat on this day. Don't let them trick you into saying, oh, I totally didn't have the chips, yesterday, and getting more out of it. Like, are there like particular like things you've implemented to help the client via the whole network actually supporting? We do have, for some of the clients, they do have private chats where we do say exactly that. Friday, there were chips given, or unfortunately the behaviour wasn't great this week, so we're going to push even harder on positive behaviours and performance next week in order for chips to be the reward. We've just absolutely cut it from this week. Things like that. There's constant communication pretty much on a daily basis. The goal would be after every single support provided for there to be a small debrief, but sometimes that just doesn't happen because we're all very busy. But there's definitely enough communication so that everyone is on board, because at the end of the day, the client is number one. You need to be all over it. And
like, that's why you're getting paid. Like, you are being paid to do this background stuff. Like, and to implement it, and like, would you take a phone call from the parent if they called you on a weekend? Yes? Well, there you go. Like, you have time to read the group chat.
Exactly.
As long as it's not like, everyone throwing in memes and just like, it's where they put in jokes. That's it. Like, it's not hard to be in tune with all of the other support workers to make sure that the collective goal is slowly being stepped towards of, if it's, improving their daily function, improving their, their daily independence. All those things make a big difference.
We have a Facebook page as well where people post activities that we're doing, or social events that'll be held. So the activities one is really good because then we can share ideas, and there's often been times where I thought that is fantastic. So going to rather than going to Woolworths and having them stand by you while you go getting everything for the meal that you want to cook with them for that afternoon, you have a little checklist and they take you to each aisle. The
Perfect.
familiarity with where items are, and get them to scan, depending on their capability level, of course, but choosing the most financially viable option out of the selection that's there, and hopefully the sugar-free option as well, if that is an option.
Fingers crossed, yes.
Yeah. But getting them as involved as possible, and often ideas are shared on that page where it just sparks, wow, that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I might try that.
Yeah, so sharing, you'll never fail from sharing your ideas. There's nothing, there's only positive things to gain from that.
Yeah, for sure. There's I think there's the collective knowledge of everyone is so huge, and you don't ever want to, have like a successful support worker that keeps every single thing to themselves is probably not actually a successful support worker, because there's something they're probably hiding. Like you want them to be proud of what they do. I totally understand, like, I like privacy of my client, and my client if my client enjoys the privacy, look, I totally get that. But like, if you do genuinely care and you're in this industry for the right reasons, you probably want to help more than just your client.
Yes.
Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Very much so.
Yeah.
When I go to Strong Hearts, it's my beautiful client is my number one priority, but it doesn't mean that out of the corners of my eye I'm trying to make people happy and get them involved and make sure that everyone is being included, feeling togetherness.
You bounce around everywhere. And everyone's friends with you.
At the end of the day, it makes for a fantastic morning if everyone there was happy. It's it's not just about me and my participant. We get far more enjoyment out of it when everyone's being a team. For sure. Yeah.
And when everyone is if everyone else around you is happy, like, if one person is having a bad day or if some people just aren't enjoying the activity, our clients are sponges, right? They take on that on board, like, oh, someone's sad, that kind of sucks.
Exactly.
I feel off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
and
so
they take it on
attuned emotionally to the people around them. And,
Yeah.
and their friends. Every single participant that I know is incredibly compassionate.
Yeah.
They're
really,
without
a doubt.
Even if their day is completely fine, seeing somebody who's upset
makes
them
sad
off completely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it's hard to get them refocused after that.
Yeah, that's it. And get them out of the negative spiral, because they just absorb it so much.
Yeah.
I think I've described some of the guys, obviously, on the NDIS and all that sort of stuff, that, like, they have this unusual sixth sense of emotion, and like they tune in to people before you even talk to them. There's something that they pick up we don't. They understand humans on like another level, and it's like a like a puppy or a baby would, where if someone that they just get the feeling that that gut feeling kicks in, and they just don't trust them, like if they're a bad person or whatever, the dog just looks at the person and just starts barking, right? and the baby just starts crying and whatever. I think they get the same thing. They get the sense of unease, and like, like young Alex Prokopis that we look after, he's, him and, his mum and dad are fantastic, but he definitely gets that. If there's someone he just gets a weird feeling about, he's like, nah. Like, he's just got no shame. Nah, don't want to be around you.
You and me,
sorry.
Not cool.
Yeah. Catch you later, bro. We're going this way. And he does. He gets that sense, and he just goes, nah, not for me. Hey, unless you really bring him around, or like, later on you find out that person was, a terrible person, or they said something to someone else, but he knew. There was something. There was, that frequency he absorbed and went, nah, you're wrong. Yeah, they are there. Absolute sponges.
That's why it's so important to maintain that respect, build respect from day one, keep their goals in mind, and let them know that you're so genuinely focused on them. They are your world from the even when you aren't providing direct support to them. It's more than that. It's the late night calls because the boyfriend broke up with them, or not everyone has to be this way, and you still have your own personal time and your family at home that you need to give your attention to. But if you can provide that additional support to let them know that you care for them as if they were one of your family members, I think that's just invaluable.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they feel it. They absolutely feel it. Like, you know, if they were out and about in a shopping center and you know, they you know, it's like the young kid. If you know, the young kid got lost inside a shopping center, the first person that they associate like positive connotation with, they want to be around, right?
Yes.
And if you have that with your, I'm not saying, all right, let's test this and leave them in the middle of Chermside, but yeah, oh no, but like, you know, that sense of like when they're with you, the feeling of safe blanket is just
there.
on.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be all right. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Absolutely. What was I gonna say to that? No, skip past.
Safe blanket, can't think of it. Yeah. No, that's all right. So like, one of the big ones I wanted to ask is, what is your number one indicator for helping your client live a longer lifespan? What is your like number one, aside from them being safe, because that obviously you want them to always be safe? What is like your number one? Is it like, what's your take on that? What is it?
Okay, number one. Probably, it's gonna sound really cheesy, but in a way, they're happiness, because like you said, if they're not, or maybe, you can look at it a few different ways, but happiness and comfortability, because if they, we're finding them to, something that they're interested in, or, you know, they're not gonna jump to something if they don't have support with them directly at the time. They're not going to do something that they don't want to do. So you need to work on things so that they, you know, provide the support when you're with them, so that they get better and better and better incrementally, so that eventually they're at a place where tying shoelaces isn't such a hard thing, or you know, brushing their teeth is just, you know, a daily thing that you don't even think about anymore. And you know, that's going to lead them to not have cavities and teeth falling out. And it's just giving them the basic skills to look after themselves, because confidence is everything. Yes, I think absolutely. And to be confident, you need to be healthy, feeling fit, and you know, just it's all a big puzzle. Needs to come together in order for you to be the best that you can be, and to go out there and fight the world.
Yeah, that's it, and just attack it all, and try all the new things. Yeah, for sure. It's hard when you see the lack of self-confidence when they're attacking new things, especially if a support worker is just kind of like, come on, just do it. It's like, it's not like that. Start little steps, like tiny little things at a time. It makes a huge difference in terms of their headspace too, because like the task doesn't seem as grand and scary. I know that like one of the major like positive spins I put on trying new things, if I find them a little less self-confident, or you know, especially a lot of the non-verbal guys, is if I say, all right, if you manage to do the entire 5 minutes on the treadmill, I will let you do the row. You've earned doing this, and they suddenly go,
yes, I got this.
I want the row. Let's do that. That sounds fantastic.
Positive
I'm good enough.
Positioning is everything.
Absolutely.
It's so important. You're right. I will let you do this. You will be rewarded with some extra maths questions.
Do you want to do more math?
And never ever ever letting them have the feeling of like kind of implying, you know, why can't you do this? Why haven't you got it yet? You know, never ever giving them that impression that you are disappointed in them, or I mean, if they're displaying bad behaviors, sure, but then it's a really good idea to let them know that you're disappointed, because you expect more from them, and letting them know that you expect more from them, it means that you care them and they understand that. So where were we before?
Positive spin on things.
Positive spin on things. It's a brilliant idea. It's a excellent motivational tool.
And just making them feel like by doing one task they're progressing to the next one, when it might be a grind, it might be a chore, but knowing that it is for the betterment of their life that they try these new things and stuff, it
same way as the parents often say, eat your veggies and then you get the yummy meat, or whatever
that's
else
right.
is there.
Yeah.
Finding possibilities. I mean, if they're going to do it on their own, eat all of it happily, then great. But if you need to find something that's going to push them or make it a more positive process, go for it.
Yeah, that's it. And I think there's there is always a constant need for that positive reinforcement of trying the new stuff, because like I think that's one of the major things of living that longer life is, man, the world is gonna change.
Yeah.
Like, we have no choice in that. The world's gonna change.
Exactly.
And unfortunately our clients don't have a say in that either, so getting them to understand, hey, change is good.
Yeah.
Like,
and trying new things, because some participants might not initiate new activities on their own. They might not. A lot of them will, you could leave them in a room, they might sit there until someone says, oh, you can leave now. They wouldn't think to move to the next step, or oh, what's next. But to give them that skill to look for, what's tomorrow, what do I do next, or if you don't know, find someone who can help you. Just those positive steps, because the world is constantly changing. And in relation to that, giving them the tools, like speaking tools, so for non-verbal participants to communicate sentences using pictures, pushing buttons to create a sentence, to let them know, to let us know how they're feeling, what they want for dinner, whether they're happy or sad, what they'd like to do tomorrow. It's so important to not say, oh, technology is, for reward time only. It's the world that we live in now. And you need to just embrace the fact that these tools are here to help us.
Yeah, that's it. And knowing that it is for, a better lifestyle for them, like...
Then freedom of speech is huge as well, to communicate their needs and wants. I always remember the story of the lady over in the United States, and she was young, 17 to 21, something like that, and had been non-verbal her entire life, and just kind of like, got popped in the corner and like, okay, well, we'll just feed you and whatever. And then one day they gave her a laptop to just sit there and type. And she managed to type, and it turned out she was extremely well read, extremely gifted at speaking and like communicating, and wrote these beautiful like full speeches and sentences talking about how she felt on the inside. She's like, just because my disability refrains me from being able to speak, it doesn't mean I can't communicate with you on different platforms. And and like being able to give those those thoughts forward, and whatever platform is best for them is huge. I'd love to see some of the guys getting a better version of speech, or a better version of thought. Like I don't know if you watch it, but Elon Musk has like this Neuralink kind of thing coming along, and it's like a chip in your brain, right? And everyone's real scared of it, which I probably won't be getting it until it's like at version 50, right? So when it's really, really well defined. But there is an opportunity there of being able to, well, you're theoretically going to be able to eventually, like, you won't have to speak to talk to each other. I mean, if that can connect to the internet, what says we can't communicate via that, right? So the implementation I see with my clients is like, if I've got young Alex P and he barely speaks or doesn't speak whatsoever, but what if the things he was thinking and what was going through his mind could actually be communicated in just an electrical signal, because he can obviously have thought. That's what makes him act and think and all that sort of stuff. So what if the technology gets so good that when he has a thought, that thought can be communicated to us and we understand immediately? Like, sure, he can sign and he can do all that sort of thing, but sometimes he can't articulate what's making him anxious or what makes him happy or whatever, and we can start refining his life to be amazing. We could have all of the positive things, and we could somehow
hopefully, you know, if the output is now fantastic, maybe the input could be understood even better, and we can start communicating so well to help his life be better, you know, and that'd be a huge takeaway from it, you know. And, you know, Alzheimer's and all that sort of stuff obviously definitely gets help, but like in terms of like our world, imagine being able to communicate with our clients that can't communicate with us.
Incredible.
You know?
Life-changing for them and us.
Oh man, it'd be so huge, but it's probably like 50 bajillion years away. But hey, like the idea is there, and that's pretty cool because your brain is just one big slab of electrical meat.
Well,
if we can read it.
I'm not sure if you've seen the Netflix episode. It's come out recently. It's about the human body and a man who has only an arm about up to that, and they connected a magnet inside him, so he can connect a magnet to the outside of his arm, to the internal one, and it the electricity that's within his. I don't claim to be a scientific biologist. But he can connect a bionicle arm, and his brain tells his arm to do whatever he wants with his hand.
Proper movement and...
Yeah, so he could feel whether he closed his eyes and could feel using his hand that a certain block was hard or soft. They tested it and he said, yeah, this squeezed foam, and he said that's a soft because he could feel the like a slow release of feeling coming through his arm from the fake hand.
What?
You know? It's just insane what we can do. Yeah.
Wow.
Already, so
that's already there. Like,
away.
Yeah, maybe not
5,
even
10 years away.
Oh wow. That's crazy. I saw so there was an episode with Joe Rogan and Gary Vee, who are two big idols of mine, and they were talking, and Gary Vee said, well man, like, you know, everyone's got the whole idea of, you know, like you might get a robotic knee or a robotic, you know, back or whatever. What happens when like you can get eye replacements?
Yeah.
And your friend who gets an eye replacement now has better vision than you.
Yes. Yeah.
Like suddenly you go, like I think the way he said it was, suddenly it goes from, hey, like, you know, oh, he's got a bionic eye, you know, be nice to him, to suddenly like his vision's now better than mine. No, I want that, and your good eyes are being replaced with better eyes, and it goes from defense to offense, and suddenly you're playing a real different game.
Absolutely.
For like the whole planet.
Yeah.
Like he was like, I'm gonna be like a 94-year-old like linebacker, and I'm just gonna be like you're running down the wing, like in the NFL with bionic knees and bionic arms, and you know the guys that we've got with cerebral palsy. What if we can get them like a mech suit, you know, and they can just move themselves. You know, they've got their wheelchairs for sure, but they can stand, they could move, they could, you know, so many things. Oh. Man, that'd be a crazy world. Like, and we are not that far from it.
We need some kind of control.
So the AI don't squish us all. I think we have more than done enough. We've got to the point of AI squishing us all, so let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have like a business page or like something where everyone can find you? Like
well, I'm developing a business page at the moment, but only 6 months, and you can still find me on my personal pages. So Ashleigh Hussey on Facebook, or we can maybe link my Instagram.
Yeah, I can throw them all in the description or something like that. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Means the world. And we say goodbye to everyone on the thing with a high five. So high five, fist bump, elbows, and a headbutt. Donk. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Means the world.
Thank you.
See you later, guys.
Bye.